Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. Ryan Nordahl here, Epic Whitetail Habitat LLC. We're out here. This is a property I call behind my parents. We're actually in an island that divides these two farm fields here, and it's a big bedding area. We hardly go in here. It's a sanctuary. This was logged, basically completely clear cut, slashed of just about every tree. There's a few, they left a few bur oaks out here, but the regeneration, you can see this popple behind me, and what we're doing here today is we're completely taking this popple down. These popple trees are probably 18 to 20 feet tall now, and there's absolutely no value to deer right now other than just stem count and rubs. Bucks love to rub on these. You can see some of the historical rubs in here. But we're going to be in here. We're going to get our Hooyman handsaw out here, and we're going to start slashing a lot of this popple down. Try to get some new shoots to start propagating in here and regenerating. And it works. I've done it on my own home property before, and because it's going to regenerate from the root system. And popple do not hinge cut, so we're completely cutting them off. We're doing a little TSI work, as a lot of people like to call it. I know that's a acronym that gets thrown around quite a bit, timber stand improvement. But that's kind of what we're doing. I know it seems kind of counterproductive, as popple can be a timber value tree, if you will, but it's not real valuable right now. And I'm not here to raise timber. I'm here to improve the habitat for deer on our property and other wildlife as well, because we're going to strategically pile up the trees that we cut for some bunny rabbits, and we're going to help the elderberry that's trying to grow in here right now, help that come up through. There's tag alder in here as well. There's some box elder that we will hinge cut. And there's also some bush honeysuckle in here that's going to do really well. Nannyberry. We've got some nannyberry coming here. And there's a couple beds I see along the nannyberry. So we're going to open this up a little bit. Make it a little bit easier for deer to move in and out of this area. So stick along. We'll get some cutting done. And we'll see what this looks like after a few minutes of doing this. This here that we've got here is alderberry bush. You can see it here. But this one is pretty much dead. He just snaps right off like that. And we're going to cut him out. I don't know if we're going to get any regeneration on him, but deer love elderberry. They love the leaves to browse on. And it throws out a red berry late in the fall. And the deer do love those berries. But berries are pretty much gone on here. As you can see, it's more of a, a November food source, if you will. But this one is pretty much dead and done. We've got some regeneration coming in here, but we're going to take this one out as we're cutting, because like I said, he's dead and he isn't doing any good. He's just taking up space here. So many of you are probably wondering, why are you using the handsaw when there's smarter, easier ways to do things, like with your steel chainsaw? Yeah, that's true. But you know what? I don't mind a little exercise either, especially coming off of Christmas here. We're the day after Christmas here. And so late Merry Christmas to you all, and Happy New Year going into 2024. We've got some great projects lined up. We're going to be heading down to Kentucky here in the beginning of February. We're going to be out in New York the last half of March. And then we're going to be going down to Louisiana. That is more of a family thing for powerlifting event that our second oldest son is involved with. But I've never been down to the Gulf of Mexico and the Bayou, so it'll be fun going down there to Baton Rouge come the beginning of April. So we're going to be pretty busy here now, here after Christmas. So the last week of the year here, going into 2024, January, February, March, April, May. We start getting into turkey season, but a lot of hinge cutting happening that time of year. Other TSI projects as well. you know, getting out and doing some shed hunting. I have seen on social media a few guys that have been picking up a few sheds here in the upper Midwest, so we're really looking forward to that. We're bare here. You know, the most snow that we've had in a snowfall would probably happen back on Halloween when we had about 3 or 4 inches of snow that day. But we were warm here over Christmas. We were almost 55 degrees on Christmas Day here, and we're finally cooling down a little bit, but we're back down. We're still above average. We're in the 30s, but we're still above average for this time of year, and the outlook looks pretty good to get some projects done, to get some boots on the ground on some properties, you know, with some consultations coming up here. But we're going to continue on with cutting these popple down and getting this opened up in here. I'm really impressed with what I see as I get into the nuts and bolts of this here with the regeneration of the tag alders, the elderberry. There's some hazelnut brush in here. There is definitely some nannyberry in here, a little bit of bush honeysuckle, and this is just going to explode. The box elder that's in here, we've got box elder out along the perimeter of these popple. We're going to take and hinge cut them toward the outside. We're just a few yards off the field edge here, and it's actually a road out here about 65, 70 yards away. So we're going to screen that road off by using hinge cutting some of the maple and box elder that are out here. So we better get back to work here. All right, so like I said earlier, we've got some box elder in here that around the perimeter of this popple that we're going to hinge cut over. So I'm going to get to work on that now. I'm going to take out some of this small stuff that's kind of in my way, and I'm going to go from there. Keeping my cut about knee high on me. I'm gonna get a lot of sprouts, stump sprouts off of it where it's hinged right here. But not only that, the tops as well. I'm gonna take this little branch off here because there is actually a deer trail right here that they use to go out into this little corner of the field here. But that's what we're doing here. This is gonna be a live browse bush come next year. Many of you are going to wonder why I left this or cut this so high. And the reason is, and you can see it here, it's about to the bottom of my rib cage here. The reason is if we're hinge cutting any trees, deer got to be able to move through it, underneath it, however they can get around. I'll take this log down here. I'll come back in a later time with my chainsaw and come back in here, clean a log like this up so deer can move in through here without having to pick its feet up, you know, possibly skinning its back on the bottom sides of these trees that we've hinged over. But again, this is box elder. Yeah, I'm going to get a lot of sproutage way up here out of a deer's reach eventually, especially of how fast these box elder regenerate from the stump area. Yes, it is going to get up, but there's a time and a place for it, and this is the time where I wanted to cut these high because I know I'll have a little bedding pocket here right up against these other trees that I've hinge cut over, and deer has to be able to get in and out of here freely. I don't want to have any dead ends within this. So even when the popple that we're cutting out of here starts to regenerate too, I'll start coming back in here, clearing up the trails and stuff more so they can move freely in and out of here. So again, you know, deer do not want to be blocked off. They don't want dead ends. They got to be able to move in and out of this stuff pretty freely. So that's that for this. Continue along here. Now we're going to move on to my favorite tree to hinge cut, and that's a hackberry tree. I don't know what it is about them. You know, they're in the elm family, so they're very tight grained, but I feel that it's a very soft wood. I can cut through it with this handsaw, pretty slick and easy. I've also got a field elm right here behind me that we're going to hinge over. Again, we're creating this screening out here to the field edge, but I'm going to hinge cut this hackberry tree over for you. I'm going to get a ton, just literally a ton of new sprouts here in the spring and summer, and deer just love it for browse. It's a great browse species. We'll hinge it over here. Now, I've taken larger hackberry trees, and I don't recommend it, but I have taken hackberry trees up to 10 inches in diameter, and they hinge over really well, stay connected, stay alive, and I just love hinge cutting hackberry trees. Probably my favorite tree to hinge cut, and that's just fine the way he's up there, but you can see that connection. That connection is just wonderful. Just a beautiful, beautiful hinge cut. So the thing with hinge cutting that you got to remember is you got to remove yourself. Aesthetically, it is ugly. I will admit that. I'll be the first to admit that. But the benefits to wildlife, deer in particular, but all wildlife, is almost like second to none. This is going to benefit the grouse, the rabbits that are here, pheasants that occupy the lowland that's in here. There is a finger of marsh that goes into this little so-called island that we call it. This is going to benefit so much more than just deer. And this is for the wildlife. I'm removing myself from the aesthetics of what it looks like from the human element. I'm taking the human element out of it. And that's what you have to remember. Sure, to your eye, hinge cutting probably does look ugly, and you absolutely hate it. But wildlife don't care. Deer don't care. As long as this elm shoots out regeneration sprouts from this stump right here, that's browse, man. That's all deer cares about. That's what they're going to relate to. When this popple that we're removing starts to shoot new shoots out of here, the grouse that'll be in here, the rabbits that'll be in here, just from the piles that we're creating. The brush piles that we're creating here with the popple tops and everything that we're taking down, the bunnies are going to thank us for sure. Escape cover from predators. It's going to make it awful hard for coon, possums, animals like that to get in to turkey nests come spring into early summer this next year. It's all a benefit to wildlife what we're doing here, and we're keeping trees alive. We're promoting regeneration. We're providing browse right now. These green ash that we've been in here hinge cutting, tremendous amount of bud on them, and they're huge buds. That's a lot of browse. Remember, browse is a deer's most essential food source. They're a ruminant animal, four-chambered stomach. That rumen needs roughage. If you're feeding corn, which if you're in an area like I am with this stupid CWD thing, you can't bait. It's illegal. But you're doing more harm than good if you're feeding straight corn. Now, yeah, I understand that there's spillage out here from the combines and everything, and deer are going to flock to it. I understand that. But it's something that's not there all the time. If you're leaving candy out in a candy bowl all the time, you're going to gravitate toward that. Most of you are going to gravitate to that candy bowl. And then pretty soon you're going to start to feel pretty lethargic and probably a high acid content in your stomach. And that's exactly what happens to deer. And they can eventually blow their feet out. And if you think that that's funny, why don't you go visit my brother? You can always tell when a cow has had too much grain. Her feet start to go on, or they start to blow out. It's called subacute rumen acidosis, and it shows up in their feet. That's the first thing that goes, and eventually they go off feed. They start, defecating very loose, and you can get into a very serious situation with subacute rumen acidosis. You start to kill the good bacteria in the lining of that rumen stomach. They can't handle that. They have to have woody browse, and woody browse is an essential part, and probably the most important part of a deer's diet is woody browse. It cannot be said enough. And you have to understand that. It's woody browse first, and then supplementing with our food plot second. Complementing the food plots with food plots. We're complementing the browse with the food plots that we create. And if you want to have better hunting opportunities, stop baiting. But whatever, to each your own. I'm not here to promote or disagree with baiting. It's just I've seen a difference in my own hunting style. The effects of baiting versus having natural woody browse pockets, food plots. I'm not going in dumping corn every day, every other day to deer, anything like that. When we were baiting, we were blowing those deer out because deer are going to relate closer to food sources. Right here, right now, this is primarily doe bedding in here. There gets to be bucks in here in the summertime. You can, or in the heat of the rut, I'm sorry. You can tell that by the rubs on these popple trees and everything. Now, I'm not saying that a buck won't bed in here from time to time, because we have kicked some pretty nice bucks out of here in the past when we used to do deer drives. But these does are going to stack in here, and we're moving them closer to the food source. And the closer we can move them to the food source, these destination food sources, the more opportunity we're going to have during daylight hours at these deer as they come out. Especially here on this property behind my parents' and my brother's farm. It's all rolled into one. This is all my brother's farm, but I call this property behind my parents. It's just going to move those deer, those does, closer to the food sources, giving us a higher percentage opportunity to take these does out early in the season or whenever we decide to hunt does. You know, in hunting does, when's the best time to hunt them? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that. I guess in my own experience, I would rather shoot my shooter buck first, you know, during the heart of the season before I would take a doe. Early season, I'm not afraid to shoot a doe. Late season, I'm not afraid to shoot a doe either. My brother wants him gone, and we're going to do our part to help him out. But anyway, I think this is going to work out great. We're putting our perimeter down. We're creating screening from the field edge. Especially if this is soybeans next year, this is really going to help out. Having this screening along this edge, they're going to feel more secure back in here, even being so close to the road. You can hear the traffic in the background behind me here. It's going to set up great. I'm real excited about it, and I'm happy here at the end of December that I can get out here and get a jump start on these projects, and you can too. And hey, if you have any questions about hinge cutting, you have any hesitation about cutting trees on your property, give me a call. Call a logger. That's the best thing you can do, is call a logger, because more often than not, every property that I visit probably has and does have a logging opportunity. But you have to get somebody who understands what you're trying to do from a deer habitat perspective as well. You know, loggers get a bad rap, but there are good ones out there. You just got to do your research, find the right one. But thanks guys for joining me on this video. I hope you stayed with me all the way to the end. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Turn on that notification, hit the like and share buttons. Any of the products or tools you've seen me using in this video, my Hooyman handsaw here, you can find it. I'll leave a link in the description below. Check that out. And hey, check out our Etsy store. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. You can find some shirts and some mugs, anything you want with our logo on it. Support us. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks guys. Good luck with all your habitat projects here coming into 2024. Hope you can get out, enjoy God's great creation here. Most of all, have fun. Keep living the dream. Thank you.